Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have another one of those from propagation to planting in soil videos for you today. And the plant that I have to show you that I am going to be planting up is this beautiful Philodendron Melanochrysum. Now, this is just one of my favorite plants. These leaves, the texture, the color, the quality, the size, everything about this plant is just gorgeous. And I'm sure when I start potting up these beautiful cuttings, they are going to take off and do really, really well for me. Now, I'm just going to bring the largest two leaves up to the front to show you those first, close up, and then I'll bring the smaller ones to show you those, because I have 4 separate cuttings to plant up, as you can see, in my 4 pots down in front of me, so that I get 4 chances of this being a success for me. I love this plant. Let me show you them close up. Now have a good old look at those leaves there. Aren't they magnificent? Look at the size. Look at the size compared to my hand. There's my hand behind this one leaf, and it's an enormous leaf. And you know, these leaves can get so much bigger than this. These are still only juvenile leaves. They can get much bigger and a little bit longer and wider, and they are just gorgeous. I'm going to try and lift up one at a time. Which one is at the top? This one, I think. Yes, this one. We'll take this one out. There you go. Now look at that leaf. Isn't it beautiful? It has a great little root coming out. It's around about 1.5 inches, 2 inches long. And, well, it's got some auxiliary roots coming out the side and more nodes for more roots. And, well, I think this plant is ready to be put in soil. I don't want the roots turning into water roots and becoming sensitive and soft and breaking when I pot them, so I just want to plant this leaf straight into some soil now, because it's just absolutely gorgeous. And that velvety texture. Oh, look at the back as well. The back's gorgeous, the front's gorgeous, the leaf's gorgeous, everything's gorgeous. So that's the first one of those two. And this is the second leaf. And if you look underneath here, you can see absolutely beautiful roots coming out, top and bottom and all around everywhere. Aren't they gorgeous? So for me, this is also ready to be potted up. Oh, just gorgeous. Don't worry about the imperfections. That is all part of nature. This leaf is gorgeous. It's really doing well. So I need to get it in soil so it can carry on this process. So that was the 2 bigger leaves. Now I can show you the medium-sized leaves I have here. So this leaf is very surprising to me, because during its propagation time, it decided to produce another little leaf here underneath. And that's just brilliant. It's gorgeous. And again, we have lovely roots going on here. You can see those. So it's doing really well, and I just want to get it planted up. Gorgeous. So that's the third one. And so this is the final one. I'm going to take it up, but I don't think I'm going to be able to put this one back in the glass jar now. So I'm going to have to plant this one first. If you see against me, you can see there's a very long, thin root, another one behind and another one up here. It's got tiny little leaves coming out here. And, well, this is 2 kind of stems growing on one. This was only this one little leaf when I put it in for propagation. And it also decided to grow another leaf while in the water propagating. That is amazing. So it's produced this beautiful new leaf down here, under this already beautiful little leaf up here, and all of this root work here. Isn't that just fantastic? That has just worked out so well. And I have a story to tell you about why I have so many bits. Maybe I can get it in the water again if I do it very slowly until I'm going to pot it. I'm not sure. No. Yeah, okay. Oh, yes, I did. Good, 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 good. Okay, because that is going to go there for a while, but I will be planting this one first, I think. So, the reason why I have 1, 2, 3, 4 separate, fantastic, beautiful cuttings that have been propagating in these wonderful glass vases here of all different types is because I bought one stem cutting from one of my neighbours from around where I live here. Hello neighbour, you know who you are. This has gone so well. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to purchase this beautiful Philodendron Melanochrysum off you. Thank you. This plant is doing so well. When I got it home, I saw it had different root nodes on different parts of the stem. So it was one long piece. And well, I have a picture of it here. You can see how beautiful the whole thing was as one piece when I got it. So I decided that I want to make sure that I get myself a plant out of this because I just love this plant. So I decided to prune it in 3 different segments so that I could get myself 4 plants. And well, I did that. The small leaf at the top here, that was the top part, and it's grown an extra leaf out under propagation. And then I had these 2 larger leaves that were in the middle on 2 separate nodes, and I cut those into 2 separate leaves, and they've also produced roots. And I had this one as well that was halfway up the stem, and well, I got that too. So as you can hear, I am so ecstatically happy and so glad and so thankful that this worked out. I was just hoping if I cut it in more segments that I don't get any rot in any of them, and it's just worked out. They've all got roots, they're all doing wonderfully, and 2 of them have produced another leaf on the stem cutting while under propagation. That is just amazing. So let's just get on and get these planted in soil so that I can see my 4 beautiful plants and how they grow and how they do when they become juvenile plants. But before I do that, I'm just going to go through some plant care tips for this plant, Philodendron Melanochrysum. This plant is a very easy plant to look after. Once it's established and when it starts growing, it will grow very fast. It can grow very prolifically and it can get big leaves. And that is with time. If you leave this plant in the soil and let it grow up as a vine, the higher it gets, the bigger the leaves will get. And if you have it trailing or hanging, the leaves will usually stay a lot smaller. So that's something to think about if you're wanting to have bigger leaves. This plant likes a very aerated soil. So I'm going to be using a good potting mix together with wood bark chunks mixed in the soil and mixed with a lot of perlite to keep air and to keep the soil loose and airy so that the roots can grow out and have space to expand without any problem. It doesn't like to be compact. It doesn't like to be in wet, soaking or moist soil that is just waterlogged and holds on to too much water so that it's just sitting in water. Never let this plant sit in water. Its roots will rot very quickly. So a good potting mix that is very aerated is very, very good for the plant. So you can water it through and you know that it will dry out in a reasonable time and keep a nice moisture in the soil and the plant will be okay. The plant does like to stay in a moist soil, just slightly moist. It can cope with drying out for shorter periods in between, not long, shorter periods in between, and then water it through again and it will be fine. You can keep it at a constant, steady moisture, but never overwater and never too much because you will get this plant to rot. This plant likes bright, indirect sunlight, and it will grow faster and bigger leaves if it is kept in bright, indirect light, filtered light, not bright and never direct sunlight, because this will just burn the leaves. And that goes for basically all of your philodendrons. They will burn the leaves if you have them in bright sunlight, especially through glass that is going to enhance that intensity of the sun's rays and the heat. So it's a plant that can cope with low, medium light, and it will still grow. It just probably won't grow big leaves or anything like that, and it will grow slower, but it can cope with low light situations, definitely not in a room without any windows, unless you have really good grow lights or some kind of lighting that is good for the plant to be able to produce chlorophyll and photosynthesize. Otherwise, it can't produce food and it won't be able to live. So bright, indirect light to low, medium light, and this plant will be fine for you. You can fertilize this plant when it's growing, and you should never fertilize with anything too strong close to the base of the plant. Fertilize it around the edge of the kind of soil and let that seep in so the plant can reach out and take the fertilizer that it wishes to. And the best for this plant is to have some kind of low fertilizer pellets you can put on the soil, so when you water it, it will get a little amount of fertilizer each time. But you only want to be fertilizing your plant when it's growing. So if it's a house plant, like we're talking about now, and it grows all year round due to your light and heating situation, because it's an artificial situation and your plant's still growing during the winter, then you can go ahead and fertilize your plant. That's what I do. There are people out there that say don't fertilize your plants in the winter, only in the summer, in the growing season. But I think, and you can write down below, but most people that have house plants and they have lights on and heating are finding their plants are growing extremely fast and just as much in the winter as they do in the summer. And thus those plants need fertilizer because the plant is happy and it's growing. But if it's not, if you can see your plant has gone dormant, has not grown, then do not fertilize your plant, and actually just do not water it too much. It only needs a little bit of water to sustain it. Overwatering will just rot the plant because it's not using that water, it's not utilizing it. Pots, I am going to be planting these in a plastic nursery pot, and that way I can have them in a cover pot and I can water through, and I can see that if there was ever too much water, it can drain out. And I have a chance to move my plant around and check and whatever I want to do. It's not absolutely necessary. I have many plants directly in the cover pots because of space or what I have available at the time. And I just then check the amount I'm watering the plant with a moisture probe, so I can check right down into the soil if it's moist, dry or wet, because if you've got no drainage holes, you definitely don't want your plant being wet. Otherwise, it's going to be sitting and rotting. So it's fine. You don't have to have a drainage hole, but you will then have to have much more control on how you water your plant. Just remember that. Propagation of this plant is extremely easy. As I said, I got this as a propagation from a plant where basically the whole of the plant was cut off to the bottom, to near enough at the base. I think there was only left a couple of inches. And that mother plant will flush out again. And I just looked at where there were nodes on the stem of this plant, and I pruned about 1 centimetre or so under each node to make sure there's a little bit of the internode between that node at the top and the node at the bottom for it to be able to callus over and seal off. And also, if there was any chance of rot, you would have more stem to be able to cut back and give you a chance of still having a healthy and viable node area. If you cut right up to the node and you get rot, you're not going to have any space to save your plant. So just remember to leave, if you can, 1 inch, 2 inches between your nodes in the internode. So any internode, basically, cut directly in between them to give yourself some space. And then you're going to be fine. This plant, oh, it's just doing so well. And the other propagations I've done have also been done the same way, and they're all doing very well. So basically, that is the care, tips and tricks that I have for you for this plant. And it is also the same for many other plants, and especially philodendrons, because they're all kind of the same in the way you can propagate them and their care and so forth. So anyway, let's get on with planting these up now because I'm so excited to get this done and show you the final result, my beautiful new plants. So I'm just going to move these larger cover pots to the side first and one of these smaller ones, and keep the one because, as I said, I want to work with this small cutting that has a beautiful new leaf on it and plant it into this little pot, so it's not going to be too much area around it to start with, so it's easy to keep it moist and it's going to look really nice in this little cover pot. So I'm just going to get my soil and just get to this. Little bit of soil in the bottom. Press that down. Get my cutting and its lovely long root into the pot, and I'm going to hold this up now so that I only cover where the roots have started coming out so that I don't smother and suffocate the rest of the stems, that it ends up rotting and killing the plant. And I can see here this plant has another beautiful baby leaf coming out, and I might be able to show you that at the end. But I'm going to have to put this plant down for a minute in this soil bucket just to get the soil around because I can't hold it at the same time as doing that and show you because I'm too far away, but you can see afterwards. So let's see, just have a little look. So I'm just going to gently firm down the soil around the edge just to hold the plant in place and keep it safe. So that's my first little plant potted. I will move this vase to the side. The plant is so young and it's just been transferred from water to soil. It has roots that are adapted to water, and thus it needs to grow out roots that are going to be adapted to soil, and in that transition period it will need much more moisture than it will later on as an adult. So while it's at this stage, you're still going to have to keep that plant moist at all times, but not soaking. Okay? So that was the first one. I will go ahead straight away and do the second one. A little bit of soil in the bottom. This one has less roots, so I can take a little bit more soil. Get my cutting. Put it in the soil. And then get soil around the edge. I'm just drizzling it in around the edge where I can see I need it. I'm firming down, but I'm not pressing all the way down. Remember that. You need to make sure there's air in the soil. I'm just firming down to make sure that the plant is held in the soil around its edge and to push it down so that it hasn't become too high up around the stem at the bottom. So that was quick and easy. That is number 2 potted. Lovely. So now we can go on to the bigger ones. So I have a big black plastic pot here. These are pots that I have washed and recycled from other plants that I've bought. Always keep your plastic pots, don't ever throw them away. You're going to need those for propagations, for splitting plants, dividing, whatever you do. These are so good for that. And when you're transitioning from a smaller pot to a bigger pot, or even if you need to transition down because something's been over-potted. So keep your plastic pots, save yourself a lot of money, and save the environment by reusing plastic. So this is for that leaf. I can fill these up quite a bit because the roots on these big leaves aren't gigantic, but I still want to leave a good 2 centimeters for leckables around the edge, I've decided. So I'll make, this time I can just make a little hole in the middle. So now I'll get my leaf and I'll place it in where I want it to be, in the middle here. And I filled up with soil, so I can just squeeze the soil gently around the edge of the bottom of the leaf just to support it and hold it in place now. Put more soil around. Press down, firm it down, but not too much because you need to make sure there's plenty of air in the soil. You're not compacting it, you're not pressing it down. You're just supporting the plant into its position and making sure there's enough soil. And in this case, I have plenty right now. So now, that is the next one. Look at that beautiful leaf. Oh, gorgeous. So, one smaller one down there, one smaller one there, and that bigger one there. And now I can get on and do the last leaf.
So you've already seen me do this 3 times, so I'll just do this one in fast forward.
So that is now my last leaf cutting in its pot with soil, ready to become a lovely little juvenile plant. Oh, they are gorgeous! And just think I have 4 of them. Oh, my idea with them is that I want to put them all in a pot where I have bought actually a really lovely frame. And I'm thinking if I have them on each post of the frame, then I'm going to get this lovely, thick, bushy effect of this plant. That's what I want. You often see them posted online and so forth as one stem growing up, and it's got beautiful leaves and looks lovely. They really look lovely. But I would like a thicker plant. I would like more leaves. So that's why I've decided to cut this into 4 separate cuttings and get them to grow out, and hopefully I'll be able to produce a thicker plant that I will be able to have around a stake, or as I said, around this frame that I've brought. I've got to decide what I'm going to do later, depending on how they grow and the success rate of these 4 plants I have now. So there we have it. Now I have myself 4 beautiful examples of this fantastic plant, Philodendron Melanochrysum, in different sizes, some with 2 leaves, some with 1, and they're just going to take off and do really well. I am showering them with positive love and light and energy. They have been doing so well as cuttings. They propagated wonderfully, and now they just need to carry on into the next phase of their juvenile existence before they grow up into being beautiful plants that I can enjoy, either separately or together. Maybe some at Crystal Cottage, maybe some here in the indoor terrace garden, maybe some of them put together, or whatever I decide to do with them. But I have 4 examples of a plant that I just love. Think that I got all of these from one cutting I bought from a neighbour, and I am so happy with the outcome of this. So let me bring them in here now like this, so you can get a closer look at all my lovely little babies. Now look at those. Look at those. I feel so happy. This is just beautiful. All that time watching their roots starting to slowly develop, hoping that when I cut them into 4 pieces, they were all going to make it, and they did. And now all of them in pots, as plants, ready to carry on and be beautiful. And I just can't wait for the next phase now when they start popping me out more and more leaves. I'm going to be hovering over them all the time, checking to see if there's any new leaves coming out, and going to be so excited all the time. Can't help that part of it. A little bit of dust on the leaves. Don't want dust on the leaves. Those beautiful new baby leaves that are coming out are just gorgeous. They're so pretty and shiny. And oh, wow. Wow. So look what you can do. Maybe you go online and you find someone who's selling a cutting, and then when you get it home, you'll find out that it's got separate nodes, and then you can go and prune that cutting into more so that you have more chances of success and more chances of getting more plants. And then you can do the same as I and end up with 4 instead of just 1. I could have left it as 1 stem and it would have grown roots out the bottom, and that would have been fine, and it would have carried on growing up nice as 1 stem. But now I will be able to make myself a bushier plant straight away, and I just couldn't be happier. So if there's any care tips and tricks that I didn't mention and you think would be interesting for me and others to hear about, please write your comments below. I will be very, very thankful for that. This is an interaction between all of you, and I would really love your feedback and your advice and what you do. I've just shown you what I've done this time, and I'm hoping it's going to be a wonderful success. We'll see. And let's just share information and share the love of plants with each other and just have fun. This is all about positive love and light and energy, and sharing the love of the innocence of these beautiful plants. And well, all of you, when I see your videos, when I see your photos and your feedback, I get such a positive boost. I just love it. I just love seeing people out there nurturing nature and just having the most wonderful time. It really, really inspires me and makes me happy. And I just want to thank you all for that. Seriously, thank you all for making me so happy. So anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. And I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.